Welcome back to Hockey Eastern Ontario's Rule of the Week, where each week we talk about a rule in the Hockey Canada rulebook as a way to educate our officials, our players, our coaches, and all members of our hockey community. Just a reminder before we get started to please like this video below and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get updates about all videos that we produce in this series and other content that we produce for this site. So this week we're going to be talking about canceling penalties, but more specifically, a particular situation that occurs in many games where our younger officials sometimes misapply the rule and no one seems to notice. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about canceling penalties. First thing you have to know is that referees have a rule when canceling penalties on the ice. It's called Moto. So what exactly is Moto? Well, this is a procedure that we use when canceling penalties on the ice, and we do it in this order, okay? So first and foremost, we want to cancel as many penalties as possible. We want to cancel penalties in a way that only leaves the team one player short. So ideally, we would want, if we have to take a player from the ice, to serve multiple penalties if necessary. We want to cancel in a way to avoid taking an extra player off the ice. And finally, we want to cancel using the order of the penalty occurrence or the order that they were reported by the referee. Okay, so now let's take a practical example of that rule that we often see in games where sometimes our younger officials get it wrong, and it often gets missed by coaches as well. So imagine a scenario where a player on Team A gets a double minor penalty for head contact, a 2+2. Player on the other team responds, and let's say he punches that kid and gets a roughing penalty. Okay, so the other player on Team B gets a roughing. So right now we have Team A with a 2+2 and Team B with a 2. So let's put it on the screen and show you what often happens. So this is the situation we're talking about. Team A, player number 6, has a 2-minute plus a 2-minute for head contact. The player on Team B at the same time gets a 2-minute penalty for roughing. So what we often see happen is that the officials will put both players in the box, okay? And then what they'll do is they'll play 4-on-4 for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, the player from Team B actually comes back onto the ice, giving his team 5 players on the ice. Now the teams play 5-on-4 for 2 minutes while that Team A player serves that extra 2-minute penalty. So this is actually incorrect. Although it looks like it makes sense on the ice, you only have 2 players, one goes in the box for 4 minutes, one goes in the box for 2 minutes, problem solved. But that doesn't follow the rules of Moto, and we're going to show you now how it should be correctly applied. So we have a player on Team A, number 6, he gets a 2+2. Player on Team B, player 11, gets that 2-minute minor. So the first thing we do is we want to cancel as many penalties as possible. In this case, we have a 2-minute minor on the left-hand side and a 2-minute minor on the right-hand side. So we mark an extra 2 of those, okay? So all that means is that these are no longer time penalties that go on the clock. No one else has to serve them. These players are in the box and will serve them, but no penalty has to go on the clock. So now what are we left with? Well, we're left with that 1 minor penalty to Team A. So what we have here is a situation where Team A is going to be shorthanded for 2 minutes, but that penalty can't be served by number 6 because he's got to sit for 4 minutes. So what that means is we're going to have to take a player from the ice for Team A to serve that minor penalty. So then what happens is that substitute for Team A, he's going to serve 2 minutes or less. So he'll go in the box for 2 minutes. The teams will play 5-on-4, 5 players for Team B, 4 players for Team A. And then if there's a goal scored in that 2 minutes, that player that's subbing for player 6 will come back onto the ice. If there is no goal scored at 2 minutes, he would come back onto the ice, and then he would have served the 2-minute minor penalty, and then the teams will be back to even strength 5-on-5. Team B, player 11, he can come back onto the ice the first whistle after 2 minutes. The player from Team A can leave the penalty box the first whistle after 4 minutes. So there you have it. That's how you would apply Moto to a situation like that. And as I said earlier, you sometimes don't see it applied with junior officials because it just seems to make sense to put them in the box and everything will sort itself out, except that's not how the rules should be followed. So for officials, the next time you have a situation like that, remember Mr. Moto and apply that rule so that we can follow the rules correctly in the game. So if you have any questions about this video, or you'd like to suggest a video of your own, please don't hesitate to reach out to our referee-in-chief of Hockey Eastern Ontario, John Reed. His contact information is below. You can also reach out to me. My email address is below, or you can contact us on our Twitter feed, which is there as well. Until next week, have a great week, and we'll see you here next week.